Hello everybody, welcome back to Top Notch Programmer YouTube channel, and my name is Erdian, and today we are going to build a front end of a chat application. This is basically a custom large language model that can generate responses real time based on your custom data and your business. We built the backend of this application in the last video here on my YouTube channel, and on this video we are going to build the front end. So this is the part 2 of the tutorial, and basically what we're going to do today, we are going to build the front end using React and JavaScript that is going to be connected to that backend. We are also going to make some modifications on the backend so it generates in real time. You know that real time generated thing. We are going to make some edits on the backend, and also we are going to build the front end. It's good to follow one of my latest videos that we build the backend, so you can follow up the video today. But if you haven't watched that video, it's okay, because we are going to download the last code we built from GitHub. Then we are going to build the front end. So if you are interested only how to build the front end using JavaScript and React, this is a perfect video for you. So let's go ahead and showcase you what we are going to build today. Okay, here's the application that we are going to build today, and it has this simple UI. It's a chat UI, and you can type any message, for example, hello, and it will directly communicate with the API and send you the message and response from the AI and large language model. And it actually knows my name because I put data before and told everything about me and my custom data about businesses and everything. So you can ask anything, and also the best feature is that you can render the markdown too. So if I ask, can you help me build a Flask server, and if I send this a request, it will show you the React markdown. So as you can see, it shows you the title with the black and also with a bigger text, and also the code here, and it's generating and rendering all the markdown. So it shows you here the titles. The code is automatically generating and detecting what type of code it is. Python, is Node.js, is JavaScript or anything, and is going to highlight it based on the language. And with bold, lists, bullet list, ordered list, and also these small links. And it's also responsive. So as you can see, we have a phone version, and here on top we have a blur background, and also have this button for the dark mode, so you can also use dark mode here, and it works really good also in full screen dark mode. Okay guys, let's jump into the next. Okay, here I am on my whiteboard, and we are going to make a quick project breakdown, show you what we are going to build and how we are going to build it today. So here we have the backend that we built this using Python, and also we used Flask for the framework of the server. And also in the last video, we used LangChain framework, which was a framework that makes us easy to build AI application using Python. And also we used for the database the Chroma DB, or a vector database. And this is a vector database that was locally running on our server. So this is basically what we built in the last video. That's the backend, or the logic of the application. And this application was generating responses when we sent, and when we was testing using Postman, the API. So in today's video, we are going to build the front end, and front end will be built using React and JavaScript. So we have the React framework, and it will be just a simple UI. So here we have the app.js, which is the main component, and inside the app.js we'll have another one which is going to be just chat.js. So here is going to be the chat. So we have app.js and also chat.js. And this chat.js will be very simple. We'll have an input box here. Let's suppose this is an input box, and also a send button. So here we can send some text, and user can send an input. This input will be sent to the API, and it will generate in the real time the output. So this is going to be a real-time generation, just like ChatGPT. So this is a very simple UI. And frontend will send the request to the backend, to the API, which is local server /chat. So this is the endpoint of the server, and also it will contain the data within it. So here is going to be the data that will be sent to the backend, and backend will send a response back to the frontend with the response data inside. And frontend will use fetch to make all of these requests. So fetch is a built-in library for the JavaScript that can send requests to the API. And the reason we are using fetch is because the Axios, or the most popular library to send requests, isn't capable of doing real-time generation or real-time responding. So it cannot get the response in the real time. So the front end here will send the request or the input to the fetch. Fetch will send to the server or the backend and will get back the response. And also fetch will send back this response with the data inside and show it up here on the reply UI here. But to make this real time or to get the real time generation, we'll also make some edits here on the backend. It will be a handler class that will get all the tokens, and all the tokens that are being generated will send back and yield them to the response of the chat server. So with this modification, we'll be able to get the response in the real time and send it directly using the API here on the front end. And the front end will get the response using fetch and show it up as a reply, and also can send back information with the input of the user. So here will be the input of the user and will be sent to the front end. Front end will send it to the back end, and then we'll get the response on this way. So this is a very simple application. We'll be using CSS for this, directly CSS, not any library, because I want to show how you can build like using CSS, and it will be pretty fast and good UI, also responsive. So this is a project breakdown and what we are going to do in this video. So let's get started and do it right now. Okay, let's start, and first make sure you have installed Node.js, because we are going to build it, because we are going to use it with JavaScript. And you can check by opening terminal here on Windows or Mac. Today I'm running on Windows, so almost all the same commands are same here. Also for your Mac or Linux, go ahead and check if you have it installed by doing node-v and also npm-v. Okay, so we are good. And next, what you have to download is to go to the link in the description, and you're gonna find the repository or the code of the backend that will be built on the last video, or you can go to the video and just build it by yourself. Here what we do, we just gonna click on code and copy. I have already installed Git on locally on my computer, so I can just go to the terminal, and I will go to the desktop by using change directory to desktop, because I want to do it here. I will create a new folder using mkdir, and I will call it Custom LLM Finish. And I'll go inside the Custom LLM Finish, and here I can just type git clone and paste the link. But if you don't have Git installed, you can just go ahead and download it as zip. So click on code and download as zip. So now if I go to desktop, here I have Custom LLM Finish, and inside this I have Custom LLM LangChain, which is the backend that we are going to use. Okay, so let's set up first on the VS Code and also get the API key that we need. Okay, so I have VS Code installed. I recommend you to use the same code editor, because this is one of the best. And just go to File, Open Folder, and then go to Desktop. We should have here Custom LLM Finish, and open Custom LLM LangChain. Here we have the project, and if you go here, we have chatbot.py, and here we need to put an API key for the chatbot, also for Chroma embedder, which is a file that can embed data in your Chroma database. If you want to use custom data for your GPT, just put the API key here. But for now, we need just to put the API key in the chat.bot.py. And then let's go to the Chrome, and I'll open OpenAI developer portal. I'm already registered here, so just go ahead and create an account if you don't have one. And then you just have to go to the dashboard. And here, if it asks you to create a new dashboard, a new project, you can just go ahead and create it. But then you just click on API keys, and here you should have different API keys. Or if you don't have one, you just click on create new secret key, and then put a name for the key, and make sure it's all permissions, and create the secret key. Here's the key, just copy it. I'll just paste it here. I'm just showing it up here on the video because I'm going to delete this key later just for testing, and just don't try to use it or this key here because I'm going to delete it and it's not going to work. But you can just go ahead and get it. It's super cheap. Just go ahead and get your own API key. Okay, now let's set up the Python environment and let's install the requirements. So open a new terminal by going to terminal, new terminal. Here's the one I have here. And I'm going to create a new Python environment by using Python -m venv and call it env. Now we have to activate it, and to activate it on Windows, you just have to type env \/ scripts \activate. It's activated because you can see it's env here. But if you are on Mac, you just have to type source and the path of the, so it will be maybe env and bin and /activate. But this is for Linux and for Mac, not for Windows. And now we have to install the requirements that we have here. So here on the requirements.txt, we have to install all of these. What we do here, just type pip install -r requirements.txt. During the installation, make sure you have also Postman installed because we are going to use it for testing. So just go to Google and you can search for download Postman. This is a software for testing APIs because we need this to test the API of Flask that we are going to use. I have already it installed, so I'm just going to open it. And here on Postman, for the first time, it will show it like this. Click on plus, and then here you have to choose post, and then you have to put the local server, which is 127.0.0.1, and the server by default is 5000 port with the Flask, and /chat is the endpoint. So make sure to be this one. Also in the body, we have to go to body and the row and make sure it's JSON. We are going to put a JSON as an input of the body. The input will be message. Here it will be the message that we want to send. So for example, hello, how are you today? Okay, now the requirements are installed and we can just start the server by doing python app.py. This is the main Flask application. We just press enter and this will start the server on this link here on this local server that we just put here on Postman. And the endpoint is /chat, and also we have this body. So now we can test and we can send this request. So just click on send, we'll get the response and show you here, AI, I'm doing well, thank you, how about you? So the problem here is this, because we send the request, it's going to work with the response and then it will give us the response, but it will take some time and it will send us the response only when it's finished. But we want this real time, so we want to get the AI, I am doing well, thank you, and all these tokens, or all these are called tokens. We need all these tokens one by one and just show up on the front end. This is what we're going to do and how we are going to modify the backend here. So let's start doing this right now. I'll minimize the terminal a little bit and we'll start here on the chat.py first. We have to make some modifications, and here first we have to import some things that we need. So the first thing is a handler that will have to modify it, but first we have to import it from langchain.callbacks.base, import base callback handler. And we also need threading to run different processes on the same time, and also we need queue, import queue. Okay, so we are good with the import. So now let's go ahead and here before in function chat.response, we are going to create a new class that is going to be a handler class, and I'll call it token streaming handler. This will take as an argument the base callback handler that we just created. And now let's create a constructor, and this constructor will take the self and also a parameter that is used to stream on the terminal. So stream to terminal. I'm going to make a feature that will also can stream on our terminal and see the response. And by default, it will be false. And also we have to initialize here, make sure to be in it. And also here on the constructor, we have to initialize the queue. So self.queue equal to queue that we just imported, and we'll create a new queue. Okay. Now we have to create a function or to override the function that is on LLM new underscore token. So every time we have a new token function, we'll take the self and also a token parameter that will be a string str, and also we have kw args, and this will return void or none by default. On a new token, so every time we have a new token, this function is going to run, and what we need to do here is to put this token in the queue, self.queue.put this token that we have. And also we need another function to get this token, so def get tokens, and we'll take self, and for while true, so while we have tokens, what we need to do is to get this token. So take token equals self.queue.get, so we want to get this from the queue that we have, and then we have to check if we have token, or if token is none. If token is done, this means that we don't have tokens anymore. So what we need to do here is to break this loop, because we get all the tokens, all the responses, and want to break this and stop it. And then we need to yield token. Okay, so here's our class, or our stream handler that we'll use here on chatbot response, but we also need to modify this a little bit. So we're going to remove the old code from the chatbot response, and also here on the parameter we'll get the stream to terminal. By default will be false again, and here we'll create a handler, and handler is going to be our token handler, stream handler that we just created. And this is going to get the stream to terminal that will be equal to stream to terminal that we get from the parameter here. And now we have to create a new thread. So thread is basically a process that will run this callback or the response from the LLM, threading.thread. And this thread will get as target, or the function that is going to run, it will be this one here, the conversation chain. So we want to run the conversation chain that we'll build using LangChain in the last video. So we run conversation chain as a target, and the args, or the arguments that we'll send with the conversation chain, will be here an object with square brackets, and this will take two arguments. The first one will be this object with a question, and the question will be the user input, that we get from the parameters. And also we have QW args, and here we'll get a list or an object with a callbacks, and this is going to be a list of callbacks. But for now we have only handler, so we'll get only handler. So here's the thread. So basically this is a project that is going to run the conversation chain with this argument here, and also with this callback or handler. So then we have to start this thread, so thread.start, and then for tokens, so we're going to loop these tokens in handler.get tokens. So we'll get tokens from the handler, we'll loop through them, and then we are going to yield this in this response. So yield token. And we are not going to return anything, but we are going to just start the thread using join, and also handler.q.put none in the end when everything is finished. We just put none in the queue because in the end of when we don't have tokens anymore, we want to just go ahead and check for none, and if we have none, we are going to break it. So after finishing, we return this and we break it. Okay, this is our function, and hopefully it's going to work. So let's save it, and for now I think everything is good. Now we have to go to app.py because we also need here some modification to make this work. And first, we are going to stop the terminal. So I'll stop the terminal because we need to install something, a library, and we use pip install flask_course. So this is a library that makes us able to use course, and course makes it able to use this server into our front end in our React app. We'll minimize and also start the server back again. So Python app.py, and here on the app.py file, we have to import the course. So from flask_course, import course with capital, and we are going to wrap this application inside course, so app. And now we are also going to create a new function for a generating function event, a new event that will run inside our route, and def generate event. And this function will get the user input, and we are going to loop through tokens that we'll get from chatbot response. So for token in chatbot response function, that is our main function, and this chat response function needs user input that we'll get from the parameter, and also stream to terminal that I'll leave again false because I don't need it for now. And for these tokens that we get, we are going to loop through them, and we want to get each message that we get from our AI. So data equal to token dot, or maybe it will be JSON, and also we have to import JSON. So here on top, import JSON, and we need to use JSON dumps. So JSON, and we are going to get from this JSON the message. So message, and here is token in the message. So here we have the data, and then we are going to yield this data in the response, and this is going to be an f string of data colon, and inside curly brackets we put data, and also we need two new lines. This is the format of the event because it is going to be a streaming event that I'll show you here on the route response. It's not a normal response, a JSON response, it's a streaming response. So then after we finish all the tokens, we need to yield a string of event. So this is going to be event, and this event will be end. So we can check if we have an event, and we'll also send an empty JSON or empty token. And also we need two new lines. So here in end we have an end event. Because after finishing all the tokens, we want to send this event of end, so we can check with the front end when we have an end event, and then we can stop the generation on the front end. So here is a generated event, and we are going to use it inside here the routes. So here in the route we have /chat, we have user input that we get from the message that we send in the body, and if not we send this, and also this is all good. But here we have to remove this response and also this return here, and this is going to return a response type of reply from the server Flask that we are going to import it here on top. So here on top from Flask we have to import response and also stream with context. For stream we need this for streaming response, and here return response, and the response will take stream with context, and also stream with context will get this generate event that we just created, and then it will get the user input, and also another parameter for this response will be the content type, and the content type this time will be text / event stream, so event dash stream. So this is going to be a streaming response, different from the normal JSON response. So here we have the modification of our backend, and now we can save it, and hopefully it's going to work everything good. So let's go to the Postman, and here we have it, and we are going to send the same response here and see what happens this time. So let's send it. Okay, it didn't work in the first try and it's still sending, and I think I know where is the problem. So we can cancel this and we have to go to chatbot.py, and I forgot something here. Here on the LLM we have to actually turn on streaming, because with this LLM is not streaming. So here on LLM just type streaming equal to true. So this will make it able to stream directly on the real time the response. So just save it. We'll go back here on the Postman and we'll send the response, and here we get the reply from the server, and this time as you can see we have a different reply. This is a streaming event, and this streaming event is going to send all the tokens as messages. So we have empty message, an AI, we have a column, I am, going, well, and we are going to get all these tokens and we are going to real time show them in the front end using React. So this works perfect, and we can continue. I think we did everything good. This will work perfect for our front end. So let's go ahead now and build the front end. Okay, so now to build a front end, we are going to create a new terminal. I'm going to leave the server running. So we can just click here on the split terminal. This will create two terminals, and this is split it. And here on the terminal, you have to go back one directory. So change directory ... and we'll go back here on our folder, Custom LLM Finish. And here we are going to create the folder for the front end. And to create a new project on React, we can use directly or can execute directly using npx the library that is called create-react-app. This will create a React with templates and ready for you to run. And we can just put the name, and for the name, I think we'll do it client. So just client, and this will create a new project. Okay, now it's finished creating the React application. As you see here, this happy hacking, it is good. Actually, I was thinking that I can close this VS Code because I want to have both both folders of backend and frontend. I will go to File and Open Folder, and then I will go to Desktop and it'll open directly this Custom LLM Finish. So select this, And here we have two folders, client and also the backend custom large language model LangChain. And we are going to use both of them. So I'll open new terminal, new, and also I'll use split terminal. One is going to be for the front end and one for the back end. So for the front end, let's go to the client. And here we have all the files of the React. And also we need some libraries here, but I will install them later. But let's start the server here of the backend. And to start the server, just go to Custom LLM LangChain. And here we can start the server with python app.py. Oh, actually we need to activate the environment. So to activate it, just type env /scripts /activate. And now run again python app.py. And the server has started successfully. So now we can go ahead and install some requirements for our React application. So to install packages, we can use npm. And first is npm install or npm I. And the first one is React Markdown, that we are going to show the response of the AI. And also we need React gfm React syntax highlighter. Okay, so these are some of the libraries that we need, and we have just to install them. So press enter. Oh, actually, this is not React GFM, it's Remark GFM. Will be Remark GFM. It was a typo, so we go and send this again. Okay, so now it looks like they are successfully installed. If you see this error or this warning here, don't worry, it will work for you. So now let's start the server by using npm start. This will start this application that we have here. Okay, so it looks like it's working perfect because we can see the logo and everything. Okay, now if here on VS Code, I'm going to minimize this backend, and here we have the front end. And here inside the source, we have some files that we don't actually need. So I'm going to delete some of them. So app.test.js, and we'll hold control and we'll multiple select. And also we don't need logo.svg, report web vitals, and setup tests. So I'm going to delete all of them. And now we have to go to index.js and remove this here from here because we just deleted. And also this import. Here on app.js, we are going to remove this header, remove it. And also the logo import because we have removed it. And here on app.css, I'm going to remove all the CSS data because we are going to build our own. And here we have a fresh app. And if you see here in the browser, it will be empty. So we go back, and here on source, I'm going to create a new folder. I'll call it components. And here we'll build a new component, new file. I'll call it chat.js, and also we'll build a style file for this that will be chat.css. And here in chat.js, I'm going to use this shortcut that is RFCE, which means React Functional Component with Export. And you can use these shortcuts here in VS Code if you have installed the ES7 or the React.js extensions, that you can go here on extensions and search for it and install is very easy. So when you press enter on this, it will automatically create a new component here with the export, and also it's a functional component. So we can save this, and also here on top, I'm going to import the CSS file. So from here ./chat.css. And here we have this small div. And here on app.js, I'm going to import this chat component. Here I can automatically import it, import chat from .components/chat. And now we have it imported. And if you go here on the browser, you'll see this small chat here. So now let's go ahead and build this component. It is going to be a big component where we're going to include everything. Okay, so first we are going to create some states that we are going to use. So here in the function, we are going to create a new state that is going to be for messages that will hold all the application, and const messages and set messages. And this will be a state hook, so use state, and we'll automatically import it from the React, as you can see. So this is why I recommend always to use VS Code. And this is going to be all empty list of, by default, will be an empty list of messages. And also we create a new state for the input to hold the input of the user. So what user puts in the input box. and set input, and will be a use state again with an empty string. We'll save a state for the is typing for the AI. So we'll make a small animation when AI is thinking or is typing, and then it'll send in the response. So we are going to check is typing and set is typing. And this is going to be a use state, which by default will be false. I'm also going to implement the dark theme. So dark theme, set dark theme will be false by default. And we also need reference for the messages of the end messages. So you know, in the ChatGPT or any other AI, when you chat, it is automatically going to scroll into the end of all the chats and show you always the end by automatically doing this. But if you hold the scrolling, it will stop there, but by default it will automatically bring you to the end of the chat so you can see the new messages. So we are going to save this on the state, or not a state but in a reference hook. So this is going to be message and ref, where we'll save the reference, so using use ref, and for by default it will be null because we are going to set it later. But we can do this now actually by doing like const, a new function here, scroll to bottom, and this will be a function, and inside this function we are going to use the message and ref dot current dot scroll into view, and here we'll put the behavior that will be smooth. Okay, so here we have our function that is going to automatically scroll into the end. Okay, so and to automatically scroll every time we load the component, what we can do is to use effect. So every time the component of the chat is loaded, we want to scroll in the end. So we can use effect. We are going to put this scroll to bottom, and the reference is going to be the messages. So every time the messages change, we are going to scroll to bottom. So this is going to be dependent on the messages. Every time this is changing, we'll run this function that will scroll to the bottom. Okay, so here in the chat, okay, so now let's build a little bit the application here, or the chat component. So what it's going to have inside. And here we are returning just a div, and I'll put a class name for this. And for this main div, we'll check for the dark theme. And to do that, inside here, we are going to use curly brackets, actually not the quotes. And by using backticks here, we'll put chat container class by default. And if we have the dark theme, here, we want to return the dark theme class. But if we don't, we're going to just put an empty class. So this means in this div that we'll put the chat container class here, but if we have the dark theme from the state here true, then we want to also add this class here on this div. And then we are going to later build the theme of the dark mode. So inside this div, create another div with the class. I'll create a glassy transparent here, glassy dash transparent. That will be a small div or area that will be some blur in the upper part of the chats. And inside this glassy transparent, we are going to put a button, and this button is going to be with a class, or actually here on VS Code, you can just type button dot, and here you can just directly put the class. And the name of the class will be dark btn. And here we have the button. If you press enter, inside this button, we will check first if dark mode. So if we have dark, then we want to render to show this. We want to put some emojis. So if we have dark theme, we want to show a moon emoji, and otherwise we want to show the sun emoji. So to do that, we'll just open here on Windows emojis, and we'll put the moon, and otherwise with the column, or else we'll put the sun emoji. So here it will show you emojis as the button. But here on BTN, every time we click this, so on click, what we want to change the state of the dark theme. So to do that, we just type set dark theme, or actually this needs to be a function here. So a function that will set the dark theme to true, or opposite of the dark theme. So if the dark theme is false, it will make it true, and if it's true, it will make it false. So here we have the glassy transparent and also this button. And if I save it, so I'll put it on the side and VS Code here. Okay, this is perfect. So here we have a very small button here, and every time we click it, it will change from moon to sun and from sun to moon. So a very, very simple one, because it is changing the state on the real time. Okay, after building this glassy transparent div, we need another div that I'll call it messages. So here will be the messages, and the class is messages. And inside the messages, we are going to loop all these messages. So what we need to do here, I will use some JSX, and here messages dot map to map all the messages that we have in the object or in the list of messages. Or let's create a parameter for this function, and I'll call it MSG. And also we need to get the index. We are going to return. Here we'll use this result, use each of the message to return some things here, some messages. So first we'll create a div with the class message container, message dash container. And this div actually will not only be message container, but will also get another class name, and I'm going to use backticks so we can modify this with some JSX inside or with some JavaScript. Instead of just doing a class name of message container, actually this needs to be on curly brackets. I forgot about that. So just put this whole in the curly brackets. Okay, now it works. And we have to put also here, we'll use some JavaScript. We want to put message dot sender, and here we'll save the sender. So we want to check if the message dot sender. You also want to put the message dot sender, and the sender will be the user or the AI, and we'll check and use this class I use as a class name. And every time we have the user, we are going to make different class names or different styles, and every time we have the AI will do different styles too. Inside this div, we'll create another div that will be with the class name, and in curly brackets we'll use again backticks, and we'll have message, and also we need another class using JavaScript. So again, smg.sender. So we'll get again sender inside this message class. Okay, also I forgot that for this div we want to use key, because we have many messages, and every time we have many components inside a component, we want to put a key, because this works better for rendering on the React. Put index here for the key of this each div. And here inside the message, what we need to do, we are going to use the React Markdown that we installed before. Here I'm just going to type React Markdown. Actually I need to import it, so I'll go on top and I'm going to import React Markdown from React Markdown. We save it, and for now we have empty, nothing. But here on React Markdown, okay, so here on React Markdown, we have to put some attributes, and the first one is children. And for children, we have message.txt. So smg.text. So we have to get the text and put it here as children. And we have remark plugin. And for the plugins, we'll put a list of plugins, and will be remark GFM. And actually I have to import this on top here. So import remark GFM from remark GFM. Also import some other things that we need, so we don't need to import them later. Import prism as syntax highlighter from React syntax highlighter. And we need import material dark from React syntax highlighter /dist /esm/styles and /prism. Okay, so this is just a theme that we're gonna use for the chats, for the response of the React Markdown. Okay, I think this is all we need. So let's go back, and here on the React Markdown, we used the remark plugins that we just have installed. And now we need another attribute that is components. And the components will be an object, and inside we'll put some code, and in the brackets here we put node, inline, class name, children, 3 dots, props. And this code will have, I will create a match, and match will be language /language dash use this syntax here because I've generated this before. It's accurate and it needs to be like this because this is going to actually check every time if we have a language, a type of language that is being responded from the AI. So if we generated some code or something, so it's Python, it is going to automatically detect it and show it in a beautiful way. So we have to write exactly what I'm doing here. So language slash \w plus close the brackets and slash again dot execute class name or empty. So it's going to execute a specific class name for each languages that it's detected. Then it will return if not inline and match. Then we just want to use this syntax highlighter that we just imported, and it will have, actually let's close it. So let's close it like this, and this will have children. That will be a string with children dot replace slash. So we have an regex here again, so it will be slash backslash n $sign slash again and then an empty string. So this is the children. We have to put a style, and the style will be material dark that we just imported, and language, it's going to be the match that we just created, and if match the first result here, and then the pre-tag with capital, the pre-tag is div, and we put here props, triple dots and props. Okay, or else we are going to return this code, and this code tag will have the children. I know it's a little bit complicated, but this is all done for the markdown, and I'll have also here a class name, curly brackets. We'll put the class name that is automatically done by the React Markdown with triple dots, and we have props. We need only one here, and we don't need a brackets here. Close these brackets, do the same thing here. Okay, so now it's good. If I save it, hopefully I don't have any error because it shows up here. Looks like everything is working fine. And we don't have any result yet because this is just done for the React Markdown. Also going to put some messages here on the state as default, just to show you if it's showing here or not. So inside this list, I'll create a new message, will be sender, user, and the text will be hello. And I will copy this and create another one, and this is going to be bot, hello, how are you doing today? Okay, so we have two messages here that is dummy messages, and we'll show them here. So this is the first message from the user, and this is the second message from the AI. And I'll use just as example. Also, let's copy this and create another message just for example. I am doing well. Can you help me code? Here are the messages. Then here after this curly brackets, we need to create a typing indicator or typing animation, and also we have to put the input box. First, let's inside curly brackets, let's check if is typing. So is typing, then or we need to return this. Otherwise, we return this thing. So here inside, we'll create a div with a class name that will be message-container, and also another class will be bot, and we need another div.message, and we have two class names and also bot, because this is going to be by bot is going to be typing. And inside this we'll have another div too, and we'll call it typing-indicator. And here we'll put 3 spans. So span, and I'll copy and paste it 3 times. This is because we are going to use each span to create a dot. So we have 3 dots, and it will look like a typing animation. Then we are going to build this with the CSS. Actually, I need to remove this else because we are not going to use it. So here's will be the typing animation that we'll build with the CSS. And after that, we'll create a div. And this div, it will be for the reference. So ref will be message and ref. This is going to be where we are going to reference the end of the messages. So this is going to be the end of the messages that will always be scrolled automatically in this part of the DOM. So below this div here, and here we have to put the input container, or the input where the user will put the message. And we'll create a new div with the class name input container, And inside this, we'll put an input and type will be text. The value will be the value of the input, that is the state or the where we save the input of the user. And on change, so every time it changes, it will be a function that will change the state of the input. We'll do set input to e.target event.target value. So we are going to change it to the input of the input box. So every time we change it, we'll change the value of the state too. E is not defined. Okay, so I forgot to get it here as a parameter. So E inside the curly brackets, and here we have the input. And if you type something, it is going to change in the real time. It is going to actually change this state here, this state that we have here, input. We need also placeholder, and I'll do it type message, 3 dots. And here is an input box. I don't think we need anything else. So after this input box, we need a button for sending this message, and I'll call it just button with this class name. And on this button, we'll do send as a text, and on click of this button, run a function that I'll calling it now send message. We didn't have this function yet, but I'm going to create it now because we are going to implement it later. And this is going to be the main function that will do all the job. So const send the message equal to a new function that for now will do nothing, because I'm going to style this a little bit, and then I will go ahead and create the main function that will send the request to the API or the backend. Okay, so here we have the build or the formatting of the HTML, and the component here doesn't look good now, but we'll style it in a little bit. So on the chat.css, we are going to style it right now. So let's go to chat.css and we'll do some styling. And we're going to use this style here, the classes that we built before. So the first one is chat container. We have display flags. We'll use flags box, flags direction, column, height 95, view height, max width 800 pixels, margin 20px, and auto. Font family, we'll use Arial. Border will be 1px, solid, and with this color you can copy it if you want, E5, EA. It's a little bit white, a little bit gray, and box shadow 0, 4px, 8px, and the color is RGBA 0, 0, 0, and 0, and also alpha channel will be 0.1. So just a little bit transparency. And background color, it's white, so F. And overflow, it's hidden. If we save this, it will not make any big change, but we'll do it for this too. We'll create a media for the responsibility, so to make this responsive. So media max width 768px will be for phones, and the chat container will have different style, which is going to be max width 100%, and height will be 100 view height, and margin I'll do it 0, and border radius radius is 0. Actually, I forgot border radius here, so border radius 10px. Now let's style messages. So dot messages and flags 1, overflow auto, padding will be 10px, background color, it's this color here, you can copy it too, so F7, F8, and scroll bar width will be none, because we want to hide the scroll bar when we scroll. Okay, so if I save it, it will show you like this. So as you can see now, the input is in the bottom, and here we have the messages. It looks good so far, and now we have to use a WebKit for messages, -WebKit, scroll bar, and the display will be none when using WebKit. Now message container will have justify click display flags, and margin bottom 10px. So now we have to do message container for each of them, like for the user, so dot user, and also for the bot. So justify content flags and for the user, so in the end of the row, but actually this means that we'll put in the right. So as you can see now, you can see in the right, and the same thing here for the bot. I'll do this bot, I'll copy paste it, and I'll do flex start, so in the start of the row. And here we have like a chat application. Okay, now let's style the message, which is the most important one. Message, and max width is 80%, line height 1.5, padding 0px, 20px, border radius 25px, position will be relative, and color is going to be 2c, 2c, 2c. And for the background color, E5, E5, EA. Now you can see this style is really good for all the messages. But now we need to change, because sometimes in the chat applications we have different color for the user and different color for the reply or for the other side of the sender. For this, we have to do message.user, identify the message of the user, and we'll do a different background color, and this color will be like a blue color, so 007BFF. And if we save it, we'll do it this different background, and also for the color, I'm doing a white color, the color of the text. And also for the bot, so message.bot, what we'll do, we'll change the background color to leave it to this color that we have here. Now here we have the user message and the bot message. Now let's modify or style this input here. So dot input dash container, display flex, padding 20px, background color it's white, border top, we'll do some border on top of the input, so dash top 1px solid, and the color is E and EA. Border bottom left radius 10px, and also we'll do same thing for border right left radius, and this will give a very beautiful style here. As you can see, it changed a little bit. And now let's modify the input tag, and flex is 1, border none, outline none, padding will do 10px, font size 16px, border radius 20px, and background color will be this F7, F7, F7. Okay, so here we have the input box. Now let's style the button, which is the last thing we need to do. And the button, we can do it directly by using the tag or the class name of the button. And border is none, outline none too. So outline is the selection every time we click. So if you click it, it will select it. But we remove that, and also background color will be this bluish color, and color of the text is white. Padding will be 10px and 20px, font size 16px, same as the input. And we also have border radius, which is 20px, and cursor is pointer, so every time it's over, it's going to point at the button. And margin left, just a little bit margin, it is 10px. Okay, so we have a beautiful send button here, and also a typing message. Hover, maybe we can change something on hover of the button, so dot button hover. We want to change the background color to this color 0056B3. Okay, so now let's create the typing indicator, so it will look like it's typing. I have to go to chat.js, and I'll make this typing to true by default, just to show that typing here. So for now it shows nothing because we don't have anything, but we'll style and we'll create it here. So dot typing indicator, we'll have display flex, justify content, center, and padding 10px and 20px. Okay, so for the span, typing indicator span, for this tag, we are going to put some styles, and will be height 10px, width 10px too, float will be left, so we want to put a left where the bot reply is, so margin will be 0 and 1px, background color will be 9E A1. Okay, as you can see, we have the span here with the 3 dots on it. The span will have a display of block, And also we need border radius to 50% because we want to look it like circles. So now it will look like circles. And the opacity will be 0.4. Now we have to create the animation. And to create the animation, we use the typing indicator and also the span. And we'll use this child or this of nth type of type 1, and we'll get the first circle on this way. I'll put an animation of 1 second. I will remove all of this, and the name will be blink infinite. I want to run it infinitely with a speed of 0.3333 seconds. Now I will copy this and I'll paste it 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and for the second one and for the fourth one. But I will change the seconds. I will make this more late, so 4 6, and here I'll make 9. Now if we save it, it's not going to do anything because we haven't created the keyframe blink that we have just put here. So add keyframe, identifier will be blink, and on 50% it will going to change the opacity to 1. Now as you can see, it changes the opacity and looks like is a typing indicator or typing animation. It's really beautiful and good one. Okay, so it will stay typing all the time, but we'll fix that later. I will also style the glassy or the transparency div and also the dark mode, but I'm going to actually paste dark mode because I don't want you to get tired with all these style of CSS. You can generate them or you can put any dark theme you want, but I'll show you how to do that. I'll also paste it here, but for now, let's create the glassy transparent, and for this class we'll do position absolute, and top will be 0 and left will be 0, width is 100%, height is 50px, background color, or not just background, RGBA with 255 255 255 and 0.35. Okay, so here we have a background and we have a backdrop filter. So this backdrop filter is just like a blurry filter. It's blur 3px blur, and dash WebKit backdrop filter, it's blur 3px again. And also z index will be 1000, so it will be above all the elements of the page. Glassy transparent, let's check this class if it's glassy transparent or not. So here, if we go here, oh, glassy transparent here on top, transparent. Okay, as you can see, the up message is blurry now. In the chat.css here, now here we'll do some code for the dark mode, but actually I'm going to paste this because I don't want you to overwhelm with all of this CSS code here because it's a lot. Okay, so I'll just paste. So here we have some classes for the dark theme, and make sure to make all your theme or all your styles with this dark theme because this is going to tell if it's in dark theme or not. And if I save this, it'll show you or fix the button too. And if you click on change, it will change the dark theme, as you can see. And all the app will change to dark theme. Really good style here. Okay, I think we'll finish now with a chat.css. And now on chat.js, we have to make the main function that will send and do all the job for us to send a request every time you type something here, to click on send and do the sending or the communication with the backend and get and respond to the message on the real time. And all of this will be done on the send message function here that will do it in a second. So let's go ahead and do it. Okay, so now in this function, this is going to be actually an async function because we are sending a request to the API and it will take some time to get the response. And every time something takes time to get the response or to give us a response back, we use asynchronous functions. So in this function, first we have to check if we don't have an input. So if we don't have with not an input, what we want to do is to return or .input.trim. What we need to do is to return empty, so return nothing. Let's create a variable, call it user messages, and this will be object with sender, and the sender will be user, and the text will be the input. and then we'll set messages to previous messages. So we'll get the previous messages, and in a list, we'll add the previous messages with triple dots and previous messages, comma, user messages. So we'll also add the new user inputs, and we'll set input to empty, and also we'll set typing to true. So now the bot will start typing, so we'll set it to true. And by default, we'll turn it to false here because we forgot to do that. So by default is false. Okay, so here we have our chat app, and if you type hello and press send, it will add it here on the messages, and it will show start typing. And actually we can remove these messages here, so I'm going to comment them out and save, and it's empty. So every time we type hello now, it will show the hello here, and it will start typing or thinking. The bot will start thinking and generating. So here on the function, now we have to run the main thing, or to send a request to the API. And for this, we'll use try catch block, catch. And for the catch, we'll get the error. And what we're going to do, we are going to console.log or error, error, this error, or we'll show we have error sending message, and we'll add the error. Okay. So inside this try, we are going to send a request to the API, and we'll save it in a response variable. So we are going to use fetch, but first, as because we having a asynchronous function, we have to use await, and also fetch. And the request will be on this URL, http://localhost 5000 is the port of our Flask server that we did before here on Postman, or I can just copy this link. So just copy it, and I'll replace it here, comma, and we have to send the body. And for the body, we have method is post, and the headers, we need content type -type application/JSON, and for body, we need JSON.stringify message input. So we want to get this as a string or as a JSON, and turn it into a string. Okay, so we are sending this request to this API. Then after doing that, we're going to create a reader. So const reader equal to response.body.getReader, and we'll use a decoder too. So const decoder, just decoder equal to new text decoder, and it'll be, the format is UTF-8, and let's create a variable bot response that for now will be empty because we are going to modify it later. And now we are setting typing to false because now we have got the response here. It will set to true. We sending the response, it will take its time, and then we'll turn it to false. So here we have a false, set is typing is false. Now if I save it here, if we refresh, and let's try to just send a hello here, hello. Okay, as you can see here in the server, you will have a new post request that is being sent. Here is the clock time, and is the /chat, and we have a 200, so it means we are okay. So we are sending a good response. And as you saw here, when we send the message, we'll see the typing indicator, which is thinking, and then here it should show the message, but we are not doing it yet. So let's go ahead and get these messages and put them inside the messages list on the state. First, we have to process the line. So const process line, we'll get this parameter line, and in this function, we'll check if line dot starts with data, because every time we have data, it starts with data. So all these datas or events are put it inside data, and we have data or event. And when we want to get the message, we will use data. It starts with data, then we need to get this data, const data equal to JSON dot parse line dot slice. We need to cut this into the 6th position and get all the data after that. And here we want to bot response plus equal data.message. So we are adding this into variable. We're getting this message and adding to the bot response. And then we are setting the messages to the previous message, and we'll create a variable actually const new message. It will be the old messages that we have, so previous messages, and if new message, so if we have a new message, we want to get this new message and get the length -1 dot sender equal to bot. Then we have to use new message -1 again dot text equal to bot response. So basically we are just adding the message, the new message that is we are getting, we are turning it to text, and we are putting the bot. So this new message will be for bot, and we are setting it here that this will be for bot. And then we'll also adding into the new message the text. So the sender is bot, the text is bot response. And then else new message dot push. We want to push them into the list. Sender bot and text is bot response. And after that, this set message function will return new message. So this is called a recursive function. It's a little bit confusing, but this is going to loop through all the messages, get all the response, create the bot response, and then put it on the new message. It's going to turn it to put it in a new message list and then return it here. So in this big else if we want to check if line equal to event end. So if we have an end, so if we don't have any more messages, what we want to do, we want to set is typing to false. Now while true, we'll create a infinite loop. So while true, we'll get the value and done from the reader dot read, and if done, we are going to break it. This actually needs to be on brackets, I forgot. So here if done, we have to break it. And also let's get the chunk. Chunk is just a token. So chunk equal to decoder dot decode the value. So the value is encoded and we want to decode it into a chunk, and line const lines equal to chunk dot split to new lines, because we are using double new lines here as we are doing in our backend. So here we have lines. After getting the lines, we want to process them. So for lines dot for each, we want to process line, and process line is the function that we have here. So let me explain everything we are doing here. I think we are good, finished, but let me explain. So since this is a API request, we are using an asynchronous function. First, we are checking for the user input. So if we have a user input, we can continue. Otherwise, we are returning 0. And then creating a user for the messages for users. So every time we have an input from the user, we are putting in the messages with user sender. So we are setting the sender to user and also saving the previous messages. And then we are sending a request to the API and saving a response. And for the response, we are using reader decoder because this is a streaming response and it is encoded, and then we have to decode it. And to decode it, we are using this process function. And the process function is going to check for the data. So if you have data, we're going to get that and save it into a bot response and save it in this format where the sender is bot and here is, and also the text is set to bot response. And then we are setting in a new list. So if we have end event, not data, we want to end and break this and also set the typing to false. And then else we are getting the value and if it's done. And if it's not done, we get the value and turn it to chunk and chunk into lines using these double new lines here because this is how we are doing in the backend. And then we are putting for each of these lines, we are processing them and then we are returning. Here is how it works. We are going to save this and hopefully it's going to work and show us anything. So here is our server. You can see every time I send a message. So I'll send a new message now. hello, you'll see that here it will show the request into the server. So send, and as you can see, it show hello again. How can I help you today? If you have any question, you can need to assistance, feel free to ask. So this is the reply from our AI. So I'll ask again, can you tell me a joke? Send. Okay, sure, let's do a joke for you. Here is the joke. Now I want to test the React Markdown if it's going to process the Markdown. So to see that, we are going to ask, can you build a Python Flask API? As you can see, the response is real time, is generating it just directly, and it is doing it for us. As you can see, the React Markdown is working perfect because every time we have a code, here is Python and it's automatically detecting it and is highlighting everything that is needed in the Python. And also you can see that the titles here is showing on in a bigger text and also with bold, and also we have menu and these commands and everything. So it's also rendering the Markdown. And if you go, you can see it has a blur, and also the dark mode will work perfect. And if we go full screen, you can see that it's on this format with not 100% width because this is how we did it. Thank you and happy coding. Okay, as you can see guys, it works perfect. It's real time generating. It's doing it really fast. Is not waiting, because before in our API we was just waiting for the response. If we get full the response, and then was returning here. But here we are doing it real time, and this is because we are using fetch and also the changes and the handler that we put into the backend. So this is why it is working perfect on this way. So you can ask anything. Can I connect that API with React? Yes, and it also shows you the steps, and it's really fast, as you can see. And it also remembers you. And if I ask again, hello, what is my name? Okay, my name is, doesn't know my name, so I'm going to tell it. Okay, what is my name is going to remember everything because we are using Chroma DB, and as you can see, it shows you here is your name. Okay, so this chat is working perfect. Also, if you do again, can you build a Node.js server? Here it will build a Node.js server for you with automatically detecting everything. So it works perfect. And also the links from official site. And if it will be clickable. It will send me there. Okay guys, this was the video for today. Hope you like it. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. I see you in the next ones. Let me know what you want to see, what coding tutorial you want to see here on my channel. Let me know if you like them, and see you in the next video. Peace.